I'm Sakshi Batra and this is Market Today, a show where we'll help you understand all the latest cues from the D-Street, starting from the benchmark index moves to sectoral action and all the stocks that are in the news and are in momentum. What should be your strategy on all of these stocks and in the current market setup? We'll get you all the expert voices on that. But first up, a quick check on how the markets are doing at this point in time. Well, as we approach the second half of the trading session, the markets are subdued, 0.1% of a decline for the Nifty, just about a 21-point fall, 19,418 currently. The Sensex is down by 75 odd points at 65,543 odd levels. Let's look at the broader markets to see if the pressure is escalating for that one too. You are seeing the broader markets do slightly better as far as the mid caps are concerned because that's flat to positive bias. But it's the small caps that are in fact, bucking the trend. 0.7% of gains coming in at 11,274. So the small cap 100 index definitely doing much better than the other major indices. Let's also look at the Nifty Bank, for example, and the other major banking constituents to see if there is a move right there. Absolutely flat with a positive bias, some kind of a choppiness that you can spot on this index too, 44,803. Currently for this index as well. Among the other sectoral movers at this point, you are seeing slight gains coming in on the PSU banks. It's 0.7% up in trade. Oil and gas stocks are up by 0.4% odd. Flattish to positive bias coming in on financial services, on pharma pack, and that's all about the sectors that are up in the green. The sectors that are under pressure, clearly it's the IT pack. Right ahead of the Q1 earnings today, TCS and HCL Tech will report their earnings tomorrow. Wipro, and you are seeing most of the IT stocks under pressure in today's trade. Metals are looking at some profits being taken off, 0.5% losses for this one. The autos in the slower lane as well. Realty, consumer durables, all slightly in the red. In terms of the stocks today, which are the stocks that are up in the green? It's ONGC, Reliance Industries at 2,786, continuously providing support to the benchmarks. Eicher Motors from the auto pack, Coal India from the energy basket again, and SBI Life. They are all holding up 0.5% higher in trade. On the downside, Infosys leads the losses with 1.5% loss. Ultratech Cement, BPCL, HUL, Adani Enterprises all down by 1% in today's trading action as well. Let's welcome our guest on the show. Mr. Vineet Bulinchkar joins in, Director Research at Ventura Securities. Welcome, Vineet, and thank you so much for taking the time out. Well, our focus is clear today. You know, the big news that came in last night, and that is on the GST front, especially the news that has come on the gaming space. I mean, we've seen stocks like Delta Corp plunging up to 25% to record biggest single day fall ever. 4 circuits on the lower side seen for this stock. Nazara Technologies plunging intraday 14% to 6-week low, and this is following GST Council's decision to increase GST rate on the online gaming and casinos to 28%. I want you to help all our viewers really understand how massive a hit is this news to the online gaming and casinos industry, and what are the ramifications for this industry. What does it really do to the industry at large?
So, GST has come in with a very draconian ruling. That is, let me explain to you with an example and then we'll see how it caters to the two stocks. So, just imagine 2 people going to the market, wanting to play in the casino, and, each one has got $100. The moment you get in, you are deducted 28% GST for the chips that you collect. Okay, so you're left with, between the two of you, about $144. Okay, now let's imagine that one of them wins money and the other is losing it. So, but prior to that, what will happen is that the online gaming company will take a cut of its money from you, which is a 15% fee, and you are left with about $122. Okay, and let us say you have winnings there. Okay, what will happen is that on that 122, you are left with about with the taxes being cut, income tax gains, as well as the, GST on your winnings. So you are effectively, if you had $122, you are left with, if you won $122, you are, and after the losses, you are left with 110 rupees of gains. And the other person who went with you, if he lost the money, So between the two of you, you only earn $10, right? So effectively on 200 rupees, you lost actually $90. So what is happening is, the taxes are so high and the taxes are so large, and the government is taking 56 and 15 rupees on earnings away from you. It's actually the government earning at your expense. So you're going there for fun, you lose money, you're paying everything in taxes, and you're left with nothing. Now, if you see, this will have a massive impact on Delta, because it is primarily a gaming company, which is online gaming. Whereas Nazara Tech, they have come out with their own clarification saying that their online gaming business is only about 5.5% of their sales top line, and they will be taking measures to mitigate that risk. So if you see purely on the both place, deservedly what has happened is that Delta Corp has corrected to the extent of 25%, whereas Nazara has not corrected as much as you would have expected it to. So I believe that Delta is impacted. One should stay away from that. And Nazara, maybe they are going to take in some risk mitigation uh, measures to arrest that. They will not concentrate on that business much. So I believe that, Delta is a story which is long gone now for some time.
So it's
And
end game for
Nazara is
Delta,
something that,
clearly.
yes, yes, it's very negative for Delta.
But still, for all those viewers, investors right now who've been holding the stock, what would you say? And for all the fresh investors, despite this kind of a sharp fall, is there any way that one should look at buying the slam dunk?
I wouldn't put my money there. As I've been telling you repeatedly, that there are so many fantastic opportunities in the markets. Buy, play with fire. Where there's uncertainty. So it's just best well left. Existing investors should take their profits, or book their losses, and take that capital elsewhere where you can recoup with more certainty.
Okay, in case you are in profits currently, you book out. In case you are still on losses, especially on Delta, you should take your losses and get out of this space. What about some of the other stocks? Are there any other stocks that would also be impacted? Stocks like Automobile Global or even Zensar Tech, because they provide some testing platforms to all the gaming companies. Is there any slightest impact that could come onto these?
Not too much to my mind, because they've got fairly diversified revenues, and so I don't think there will be a significant impact there.
Okay, understood. Any other ripple effect to any other sectors or industries?
Not too much. It's very concentrated risk that is there. So I think it's not going to fly to other sectors. So it's in a selected pocket, and hence I think that, it's just a flash in the pan. The stocks have corrected, and the overall market sentiment remains intact.
Hmm. Is there a way out for such gaming companies to either reduce the impact that they would have in the real money segment? Should they completely exit it? Is that the only way out, or are there any other ways that they could explore to continue to save their business?
So what will happen, I believe, is that online gaming is not going to go away, and people will adjust to that mechanism that is there in place. So, we have to wait a while for people to get it into their psyche that, I have to lose this kind of money. And, you go purely for the fun of it. And that is how you need to play this. But for Delta, it's going to be a while before things can turn around for it.
There's also talk about that perhaps what could just happen is that now, these companies could actually look at shifting everyone to the illegal betting platforms, and in order to avoid this heavy GST, or even look at offshore building up their positions. Would that also be like, loss for the revenue for the government, and of course, the foreign exchange really moving away from the country?
So see, it's very difficult. You already have assets in India. You're already committed out here. You got the licenses. You paid for the licenses. So it's very difficult for you to move offshore. So again, if you move offshore, again, if you go illegal, that's a different ball game completely, right? So I don't think that anything positive is going to happen out here.
Hmm.
Uh, just best well left.
Okay, but do you think that there is any remote possibility that the government may actually go back to the drawing board, as has been the case in the past as well, and maybe make that distinction, and that could act as a breather for the industry?
So if you see how this government has been working, I think it is there to discourage such activities like gambling. If you've seen the kind of uh, duties that are imposed on alcohol and tobacco, there is it is there to disincentivize that, right?
Hmm.
And so we need to see how we have to see how the consumer will play this out. So as long as the consumer is okay with losing that kind of money, paying up a cover charge, if you were to think in that sort of sense, so that may happen. But the bets, you cannot bet big, and so the entire the pie is going to shrink for the company, the people who are going to go in. So with that shrinking, I think it's a regulatory domino effect which is going to cripple the stock of Delta.
Okay. That's as per the impact on the online gaming space. There was a decision announced as far as the auto sector is also concerned, and some decisions taken in that could impact the food and beverages sold at multiplexes as well. So let's look at these two sectors too. For SUVs and MPVs, there is a fear that the prices could go up eventually because of this, and of course the definition tweak as well. How would you see the impact of that on the entire auto space? Companies like Maruti Suzuki that have been looking at chasing the dream of becoming number one SUV player now. How would you really approach the auto sector now on the back of this news?
So, no one is going to stop buying cars with getting this thing. So what typically happens is that you would suspend your decision and, you know, take it with a lag. Just like what happened with the two-wheelers, right? So the cost of ownership of a two-wheeler went up sizably post FY20, after post-COVID because of the inflation that was there in commodity inflation. So you had volumes take a hit, but eventually people are coming back, right? So I don't think that the auto sector is going to take too much of an impact, and this is going to be a positive for. So any declines are what we should be using to accumulate auto stocks.
Okay. What about the multiplex companies, PVR Inox? Nothing moving on the stock today, but the decision has been that the food and beverages consumed in cinema halls will now attract a GST of 5%, which is equivalent to the levy, which is in hotels and restaurants instead of 18%, which many, in many cases cinema halls were charging. So what does that do to the cinema hall and multiplex chains and company stocks listed in that space?
So that's a breather for consumers who go there. But you need to have good content and you need footfalls into the theaters. We need to see uh, occupancies move from 20 to 30% for the entire sector to get a mojo back. So effectively, while it's a positive on the food consumption for the multiplexes, making it more affordable, but it is still not enough. We need good content out there. So I think this is a non-impact for the sector at the present.
Okay, understood that. Well, many thanks, Vineet, for being with us on the show and sharing all these insights on this important news flow that's come in last night, and it's impacting the stocks as we speak. And how should investors be viewing this entire development and approach to their investments in such stocks? Many thanks for being with us. The Sensex and the Nifty still subdued, about 74 points of a decline for the Sensex, 19 points lower for the Nifty at 19,419. We'll continue to watch how the markets move from here on. Of course, a lot of spaces will be on the watch list. Today evening, we'll see TCS and HCL Technologies come out with their earnings. So the IT sector will constantly be in focus, and we will see if there is any kind of clarification on the same, on the news flow that we've discussed on GST. That could come in, and perhaps all the developments that are happening in the gaming industry, the reactions, all of that will be shared with you on Business Today TV. So don't go anywhere in case you're interested in watching all the developments in this space. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and also continue to engage with us on our other social media platforms as well. Until then, many thanks for tuning in.
Tomatoes, an essential ingredient in every dish. The vegetable now costs 120 to 160 rupees per